Let's take a look at these notable trade candidates right now. Who can be like the Braves and get a few of these players and make a really impactful 2-month rental? Ruben, for you, who's the name that jumps out?
I think there's a couple of guys. I think J.D. Martinez is going to get traded. I really do believe it, and I think that there's going to be some pretty heavy suitors on him. I mean, the Mets, the Giants, the Dodgers, anybody who really wants a big banger, this guy has done it. He's got a ring. He is the consummate professional hitter. You slide him into the middle of a lineup, and you're going to get automatic production. I love this guy, and I think he's one of the biggest trade pieces I think that Chaim Bloom's going to have.
Definitely a guy that can hit no matter where he is. Whether it's AL, NL, J.D. Martinez gives you a lot of punch. Who else is the guy you have your eye?
I think Andrew Benintendi is a guy for me, and anybody who needs a left-handed bat. And there's a few teams out there. There's no question about it. I mean, Andrew Benintendi also, another guy who also owns a ring. I mean, he played for the Boston Red Sox when they won it. He has really come into his own. He went for a couple of years on hiatus, sort of. But he's come back and he's been just outstanding. Now, is he an everyday center fielder? I'm not sure, but I know he's an excellent left-handed bat. The Phillies, St. Louis Cardinals, I think maybe even the Yankees, even though he's got that issue with not being able to play in Canada.
Toronto,
I think that this is a guy that who knows how to hit. He loves to win. He's got that quiet fire in him. I love this kid. I've known him. I coached him. This guy's a winner, and I would love to take him if I had a chance.
All right, so both those guys definitely could be on the move. Ronnie, for you?
You know, it's funny. Whenever we play this game, it really reveals what kind of general manager you think you would be. I grew up in Massachusetts, Filene's bargain basement sales. I like those little deals that you can make that maybe make a wonderful return. First guy I'm thinking of is Brandon Drury from the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
He's having a career year. Now, this guy's path has not been easy. Remember when he got traded over to the Yankees and he went through a myriad of issues with migraines and other things and really hasn't been the best version of himself, but he started to show it a couple of years ago, and this year 18 home runs and 54 RBI. He would fit nice for a team that needs a right-hander to hit against lefties. And as far as the pitching is concerned, I don't think a lot of people know what kind of year Matt Moore is having for the Texas Rangers. In 44 2/3 innings, he's only allowed 8 runs, and he has allowed 0 home runs. So we're talking about a guy that's going to come in left-handed out of the bullpen and shut down left-handers and right-handers because he's a crossover guy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, will keep the ball in the ballpark. That is key.
Yeah, what's interesting about Matt Moore is that, I mean, some guys take a long time to make that adjustment from being a starter to being a reliever. It's taken him maybe a year and a half or so. He had some injury issues. He was pitching well in Detroit. He did a pretty good job at times with Philadelphia, but now I think he's settled into that position, and he's doing really well, throwing from the left side out of the pen.
And it's always interesting. Every contender, you feel like they could use one bullpen arm. You never hear a team go, it's always like, oh, we're going to we can always use one more two bullpen arms. Guys look great. Dave Robertson's bounced back really good. He'll be on the market as well. Matt Moore, definitely a good choice. For me, I'm looking at Wilson Contreras, because right now the catching position, there's not a lot of offensive catchers. A guy like Contreras, he can offer a real oomph in your bat. You know, Sal Perez is in a down year, JT Realmuto down year. As far as offensive catchers, it's Darno, Alejandro Kirk's been great, Danny Jansen, obviously the Jays. So I think Contreras could be a guy, Ruben. If I'm looking for some oomph at the catching position, Contreras is a no-brainer.
It's the most important position on the field. I mean, a position player on the field is the only guy that's watching the game from the other side and really running the show. Again, this is a guy who's been there and done it and won. He understands what it takes to win. It's difficult for certain catchers to like slide into and to handle a new staff.
Yeah.
But I think he's one of those guys that's energetic enough. He's knowledgeable enough. I think he's got very good baseball instincts. I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, I was thinking Darno and his brother William have really done it in Atlanta. The only issue here is because we know the Chicago Cubs are not afraid to get rid of some of their players that have been stars there. They did it last year with 3 or 4 of some of their best stars. The problem is going to be, what are you going to get back for a 2-month rental? That is going to be the key. If Chicago wants too much for him, he might not move.
That's true. And we haven't mentioned any starting pitchers, so I want to mention Carlos Rodon. He's been tremendous to the San Francisco Giants, and this is a guy who was named to the All-Star team. We saw him blossom really, Ronnie, last year with the Chicago White Sox. Now, they may not be selling him, right? The Giants are hovering around 500. The defense has really let them down, but the National League isn't that strong. Maybe they keep him to get one of those wild card spots, but if Rodon's available, he could be an impact guy.
Well, we just show the thinking fan was Rodin, so exactly. Maybe he wants Rodin. And he is one of the best left-handers in the game. You thought coming off the season he had last year with the White Sox, where he was injured, you didn't know exactly what you were going to get this year, and he has been everything that you thought he would be. San Francisco is one of them. But if I were San Francisco, I would think of this year as been kind of an anomaly. Maybe they weren't as good as the 107 last year. They certainly are not a 500 team. You expect them to be better, and I would think that Rodon would be a piece of that team moving forward.
Yeah, I think they're going to be buyers. It's possible that they'll sell off, but I don't see that happening.
No, with Farhan Zaidi, they seem like that.
He's pretty shrewd as well.
Yeah, that's true too. What was always your thought, to Ronnie's point, as far as those rentals? Like, 'cause that's a real tricky. It could only be 2 months. How much do I give up for this guy?
Yeah, that was something that I did not like to do, especially when we made several trades when we were continuing to try to win. I mean, when you see some of the trades that we made in Joe Blanton in 08, and I was just assistant GM then. That was Pat Gillick. 09, 10, and 11. We always made trades where we knew we had some control after that year. It was very difficult for me to think about. I can't just think about today. I got to think about today and tomorrow. And so when you're dumping a lot of talent on your team, you want to try to hold on to those guys as long as you can, or sign them. And signing them is a little bit tougher. We did it with Halladay, but those other guys. I mean, we did a pretty good job of making sure that we had at least one more year of control.
Other part of it, too, is, Ronnie, the extra playoff team. How does it impact the trade deadline? Because now you feel like if you're hovering around 500, hey, we're only 2 games into a wild card spot, perhaps you're less inclined to sell off because you may deceptively think you're still in the mix.
Well, where you're at now is that if you play 500 baseball to August 15th, you're going to be in some kind of race. That if you have a great September or last part of August, great September, you're a team that's going to have a chance to maybe get in at one of those wild card spots. But what does that do? That makes a lot of teams that are kind of contenders or pretenders, they're trying to figure out, they're not going to unload players. The teams that are going to lose 100 games this year, they're not going to unload players because they mostly have young players in moving forward. So it's, I don't think there's going to be as much movement as you think there's going to be.
Yeah, I think so too. I think teams are kind of feel like they're still in the mix because of that extra wild card spot.